Learn to listen when it's grown men talking, cause real spit you don't find that often. Every discussion from experience, and hopefully within it delivers some deliverance. It's all facts and opinionated, from the west where that real spit originated. Brothers truly trying to save a soul, provoke thought so we can really designate a goal. We on that grown man scribble, the ball in our court with command on the dribble. This is something that'll help the show, cause it's something that'll help us grow. We see exactly what the people need. Now welcome to the show, Spitting Policies. Welcome to the show, Spitting Policies. Welcome to the show, Spitting Policies. Learn to listen when it's grown men talking, cause real spit you don't find that often. Learn to listen when it's grown men talking, cause real spit you don't find that often. Spitting Policies.
Damn, it's hard to get amped up.
What up?
Hey, what's good? What's good?
Yeah.
that was a little
different, huh?
Just jump right on in there. Hey, how y'all doing today? And I'm so used to hearing myself. It is weird right now. Yeah. But we had to record this show a little bit early for y'all. So y'all can't call in for this show. Just letting you know.
Just watch.
But y'all can make comments. You can make comments.
And then you can save your notes, and then next week.
Yeah. Call in and tell us what you feel.
Absolutely.
But we had to pre-record this show just for y'all because we didn't want to miss y'all. But we're going to start it out. How's everybody week? Wait, the title of the show, you see it scrolling. It's discipline. We just going to keep it like that. Discipline. We don't get, and we're going to get into it a little bit later, but, this one you want to sit down for.
Have to worry about that. Just us.
Yeah, you want a man, but a woman wants a man with
some discipline. Right.
DD.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go to my left real quick and see how his week has been. Trevor.
Well, I'll say God is opening up another chapter of my life, and I'm reading the book. I appreciate what God had me going through, and I'm in the middle of the book at the same time. So I'm very appreciative of what God has me going through.
Amen.
Hey.
Can we say amen?
Amen.
Amen, Trevor.
Amen.
We're gonna go over there to my right, immediate right.
Yeah. Every week,
Kev.
Trev have a
he
way
read a chapter.
Man,
book or
my shit just be regular.
Pamphlets.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He reading chapters. Yeah. He in books and shit.
Hey, God is good all the time. So, hey, whatever challenges it comes up on it's his. I give it to him because he said it's not mine.
I like his attitude.
So.
Yeah, I like your attitude.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You're showing me something that totally different.
You can't stay the same all your life. You got to evolve.
That positive attitude.
Oh yeah,
you have.
Man.
Especially what you told me today. I was like,
man, it's so much, man. That if God doesn't do nothing else for me, he didn't did enough.
Oh, amen, brother.
Amen. Sharp too, man.
I try. Look what I'm surrounded around.
Oh my
God.
Look what I'm surrounded around. Yeah, man. And I tell people because even Belinda's, but I tell you, I'm colors now, man. I see things different after you evolve. Because coming up, we only wore.
You only wore a certain color.
Yeah.
Don't say the color.
Yeah. You couldn't wear a certain color.
That's all that was in your wardrobe. That's all that was in your wardrobe.
Yeah,
Same color.
I tell a few of them, they be like, dude, I say, man, I look better in this color than y'all do. And y'all bang it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, God is
you
good.
can show hide in some shrimp fried rice with some camouflage.
Man, But yeah, man, I'm glad I'm here today with you.
Man, we glad you here too, bro. We glad you here too.
Yeah,
we gonna go skip right on over to EP.
Hey, man.
International Lover.
Hey, man. Hey, check this out, man. Look how I'm just blessed, bro. We're filming this in the middle of the day, which says what? That we control
our
time and our destiny, which is a blessing in itself. We forget that sometimes. Some people are like, what? In the middle of that, I can't get off. And I mean, God is good, man.
All the time.
And I'm here and I'm with my guys.
Man.
Let's get into the show.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Priceless that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, my week is, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'd
Amen.
love to say that because I believe I am. I just got to touch myself sometimes because it feels so good to be here.
Well,
And-
On the same show that says
I just because I can't believe it sometimes. I got to pinch myself.
Okay.
How good
Say
is
it,
God?
say it.
Now you're being a little more too descriptive. If you
I gotta pinch myself.
You
a little
wouldn't
bit.
touching the right.
Yeah, you know me.
Hey, a pension
I
is enough.
You got it's self-love. It's self-care.
self-love.
Work with what you got.
Self-love and self-care. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Work,
Okay?
Amen.
work what you
Amen.
got. We gotta work what your daddy gave you.
But it's a blessing. It's a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yes, it is, brother.
I'm extremely grateful, filled with gratitude.
Yes.
Just to be amongst even you all in the audience. I
Man,
just
all the
to
time.
be here to disseminate some information that I think that will prolong a healthy relationship, and that's what we're about:
Mhm.
prolonging healthy relationships, creating healthy relationships. And we're gonna get right into the show. We're gonna pass it over to the maestro, and he can tell us what he feels about de-discipline. What is de-discipline to you, Trevor?
A man having the ability to control his sexual urges and desires. A man that knows when to move forward with a physical encounter with a woman, and it should be okay afterwards.
Yeah.
Discipline is a man not being controlled by his sexual desires, not being controlled
You said
by
that,
the small
yeah.
head.
Okay, you're gonna say it.
So
Okay.
that right there has led a lot of the downfall
To
to
a lot of
very empires,
Mhm.
to quite a few empires,
Yes.
because a lot of men have been enamored and overwhelmed by the physical attraction of the woman.
Yes.
But
yes.
until you start getting a clearer understanding of how she moves and how she functions, then you probably are just going on your small head instead of.
But would you say, and this question is for you, EP, when you were younger and probably a little bit more immature, your discipline was lacking?
It was lacking. I was never ran by it.
Mm-hmm.
In my younger years, I was disciplined in my choices of
Gotcha.
who I chose.
Gotcha.
Too. So I can say I was never, which is a blessing to even say that I was never ran by it. I never had to have it so bad that I did irrational things
Yeah.
to get it. But I've always been.
But
selective.
we've suffered. We went into some uncharted territories
Oh, absolutely.
to get it.
What?
You know what I mean? And that could be caused lack of. Now I'm going in this
I
area.
agree.
This female live in this neighborhood.
Right.
Should I even be going over here?
Right.
Me and you actually physically did that on the bus
On the bus.
in Swan Hood
Yes.
in the middle of the day.
Just to see if we
Man.
could
Snip
snip a little bit.
Hey, man, a lot of
a little bit.
a lot of us would drive a block from hell just to entertain the thought
Just to entertain
of it
thought.
happening.
So I think, as being older and more mature, I think, your discipline, of course, greatens, because you're more mature. I like, I don't want to take those chances. Now, if you're telling me to pull up in certain areas, I can't find parking.
For real.
I gotta go. Where am I gonna park?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And for how long?
It's also a language. If you're talking a certain way, if you're talking about the wrong thing, I'm not even going to engage because I know what comes with that.
Yes.
If you're wearing something too provocative, that's gonna present a problem.
Kevin, and I know your discipline is heightened. You sharpen your discipline over the years. But when you were younger, how did it affect you? Did you see any, like if you made a wrong choice, did you see how the discipline showed up?
Yeah, of course. Trey Songz made a song about it called I Just Want to Dive In. So back then, it was like, because you have, I'll say, so-called role models or whatever, Not saying that they were all good.
Mhm.
So it was like they would teach you or tell you, hey man, you need multiple. You don't need just one or two. One, be locked down with one.
Mhm.
You need get out. What your truth. But you need multiple. So back then it kind of it gets you caught up eventually.
Mhm.
With not having the discipline.
Mhm.
So went through some experiences, had some close calls. Y'all speak on the different neighborhoods and all of that we would go to or go, to get over there to it. But as you and sometimes God remind me of how far and how good he's been, because sometimes I sit and things come to my mind and I get the chills because I be reminded.
Like you survived that.
Absolutely.
Even though I was doing wrong, he was with me.
Absolutely, he was
Even though I was in the wrong place, I know he was with me.
Absolutely.
To the contrary, on one of your points, I don't think it's a bad thing to experience multiple
No,
women.
women growing up.
Right.
No.
And a lot of people think that.
No. And I think you want to experience more because then you know what you desire and you know what you like.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have to sleep with every last one of them.
Heavens, no,
Kevin,
we're not saying that.
Kevin, you don't have to sleep with every last one of them.
Well, how you gonna
But,
gonna
EP
know?
don't have to sleep with them either.
Sometimes
I'm
you
just
just
saying.
leave after. You don't have to sleep.
No.
You don't have to sleep with them.
I ain't got to
You get
cuddle.
to know them, Trevor.
I can get up.
Trevor, you don't have to sleep with all of them, Trevor. Trevor, you don't have to sleep with all of them. And we're not saying de-discipline is abstinence either. It's being more selective in your choice and who you giving this D to.
Right.
You gotta be spreading the seeds of these seeds are precious.
Yes,
and you
they
can't
are.
give them to everybody.
Can't.
Don't cast your pearls to the
Right.
seeds to swine. Don't be playing in the mud. Don't be getting with the hood rats.
Man.
And the hood rats was readily available.
Right.
Oh man! And if you say ratchet slow, it's rat shit.
Yeah.
Don't deal with it.
I learned to give it a little positive twist. I said, don't be fucking with the stars. Because what's rat spelled backward?
Wow.
Stars.
Wow.
So I say,
y'all. Look at
I
that.
give them a little positive twist. I give them a little positive twist. You know what I mean?
We getting some lessons today, boy.
Hey, if you call a star, you might be one of them rats.
Yeah.
But it's. I think Keith, we can go to the first clip, and as we get older, we learn to have more discipline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And one thing my dad did for me, and we had to read Proverbs every summer when I became like 12 or 13. You know what I mean? And it did help you understand, because you were going after women like, hey, this loose woman could lead you to a pit of hell. So this is a main part of me having discipline, not selecting the woman that could lead you to that pit of hell.
Yeah.
That high value men do and practice is sexual discipline. Now, you asking, Steph, what do you mean by that, bro? What do you mean by sexual discipline? Well, here's the thing, bro. You gotta understand. When you're on a man, you're on your purpose, you're on your grind, your value increases, your money increases, your looks increases. And what happens is you're gonna have women throwing themselves at you, literally.
We know that happens with all of our lives. It depends on where, you're in the shop. You're in the shop with a whole bunch of women. You're doing hair, women are going to do what? They're going to throw themselves at you.
They'll throw themselves at you. And sometimes they'll make it completely obvious to everybody. Better yet, in short, piss on the tree.
Yeah.
A lot of women would piss on their tree. And some of the ways they do that is they claim you, and you may not even know it, but everybody else around knows that she's attracted to you, or she wants you, or you hers. And that's not often the case. You might not even be attracted, but she already stained you.
Like
And-
like Lady Eloise. Marcus.
I don't have any.
exactly. That happens all the time. all the
EP,
time.
I know you get a lot of you be playing the panty droppers on the keys.
Hmm.
So how do you thwart,
Panty
get
droppers.
collecting so many and making a selective decision on practicing de-discipline when you out there?
I know a lot of it is superficial,
Mhm.
for one. For two, the wrong one could lead you,
The hell.
could end everything.
Mhm.
Yes.
Three, your reputation. You got to deal with, like,
Mhm.
I have a daughter, an adult daughter, who's
Yeah.
very attentive to
Yeah.
my life. And I'm selective too. So all those four variables keeps
Mhm.
me on track to making a better decision.
Yeah, and that because so many men, bro, and I want to come to you. So many men have been, their lives have been turned upside down
Mhm.
for not practicing de-discipline, and this is why it's so important in men, especially if you got something to lose, bro.
Mm.
And I love in the clip he said, high value men. If you got something to lose, you ain't gonna want to lose it to somebody that's unworthy of getting any of your provisions. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
And let me say this to the young men out there. This is the best thing I can ever tell you. If you conquer this at a young age to
Oh,
where
man.
you're able to be disciplined and make the right choices and not chase, you will be rich. If you focus on that, you handle that, and you put that energy into something
Mhm.
positive to where it can make money, you will be unstoppable. Trust me.
Mhm.
That hit me at 23.
Yeah,
I
some
done
pimp
myself
told me
pretty
don't
good.
focus on the bitch, focus on the bag.
That,
Mhm.
what-
And,
don't-
and once you do that she gonna come and
Oh yeah.
as a byproduct of it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I want to say, don't focus on the pussy, focus on your purpose for young men. Just to
Mhm.
give it a more positive twist.
well, you got to
You know
reach
what I
them where
mean?
they at.
You got to focus on that, and this will come eventually.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to end up, this, Kev. You don't want to end up like your Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
At this age, he's our age, bro.
Our age.
What do you think about
you gotta be sharper than him.
Sharper than Shannon.
Yeah.
sharper than Shannon? Mentally sharp.
man, because it and trust and believe, even with us, even though our bag may not be as high as his, we are still high high value men.
With something to lose.
Right, with something to lose, and it don't necessarily always have to be money. You could
Even your operating money is a lot more crippling.
right.
Because you get involved with the wrong one at an early age, and 18 years
Man.
of just being suppressed and
Yeah.
your credit being bad and
Yeah.
and family
Yeah.
issues and other things
I-
that
oh,
it
yeah.
bring.
I don't know what caused you guys, and you guys, if you want to share that, I don't know what causes you to, or caused you to have more discipline, but the earlier, like you said, the earlier you have control of self, the more you'll know yourself and the more you'll grow yourself.
Mhm.
So if you guys want to share what caused you, or was there an event that caused you to have more discipline? And young man, I really highly recommend that you guys listen to this, because you want to go ahead and have control over it now before it has control over you.
I'll go first.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Irv.
It's called a daughter.
Mm.
That's what it's called. For me, it was my daughter.
Mhm.
I had her 19,
Yeah.
20,
Mm-hmm.
and life just got very, very real.
Serious.
Very serious. I
Mhm.
mean, financially, I was affected financially.
Mhm.
Just being responsible, and let me say this: just because you grew up without a father doesn't mean that you have to perpetuate that
That stereotype.
that stereotype.
Mhm.
Because I grew up without a father, but it made me want to don't even say that. But it made me want to be responsible because I knew, you know what I'm saying. So what are you saying, Trevor?
Yeah. What are you
What are
saying?
you,
On a previous show, I said I was there, Irvin.
Oh,
okay.
And for you to sit here and say I wasn't there, You grew up without me. We still friends to this day. But go ahead, finish saying what you're gonna say. I won't gonna say
watch
nothing.
This. Pops, I will never pay for another haircut. My father over here.
All right, hold on.
Hold on. On the establishment.
Scratch the joke. Went a little too far. All right. Somebody else?
Yeah. Right.
I think for me, it was really my dad, you know, some of it, you know, was my dad, and we had to read Proverbs. So in reading Proverbs, you was like, oh man, this woman was she was sexy, she was all this stuff, but she wasn't the right woman for him. So in that selecting the right woman for you, I think I made a good selection when I made my first choice of the woman that I would have children with. I'd say I made a great choice. Other choices after that wasn't so great, but the first choice was a good one, and I had my family, you know, co-signed on it. You know what I mean? So I think that for me, just reading Proverbs, I'd say for if you 14, something like that, you can understand it. Read Proverbs. It's like hey, I'm gonna tell this. I'm gonna impart some words of wisdom, and what more words and wisdom can you impart than be very disciplined on the woman you select to be with?
So you made the right choice then. Does it ever come back around in your mind to where things may be different now that I'm more mature and I'm in a different place?
Yeah, I say that I pray for more discernment now. So in me making a choice, I want to have a better discernment on like making that choice. It's not just okay, this person is natural. You know what I mean? That can't be the only thing, because that was one of the things that
meaning the same woman though. You come back around.
Oh no.
No.
He said, I love her to death.
Yeah.
I love her to
But
death. But being in a relationship that's gone. But I think it was a great selection and choice.
I just say, being, you know, as the saying goes, when I was a child, you know, I did childish things. I thought as a child, and that can take you all the way up to your 20s and beyond. It all depends on you, you know, because going through that, having a daughter, like you said, 20 years old, and really thought that was going to be, we were going to be together. But I still had these tendencies or these wants, you know, and those desires to be with other women. Then, you know, getting married a little later on, thought, okay, well, now I can handle this, or I can be cool with this. But then it's not just about D discipline, it's about P discipline as well. Because and I don't mean canoe, you know, because you have women out here that doesn't have any discipline. So even going through that and then putting me back out there, you know, in my latter years, but then knowing like
we call those harlots.
Right.
Yeah, if they don't have the P discipline.
Continue down this road.
Bed witches.
Right.
You witch.
Know, yeah,
Jezebel.
So it takes self, because when like you were saying earlier, you didn't allow your little head to lead you, but when you go, you know, as a man, we react different than women. So even during my latter years, after you know, going through the process of the divorce and then ultimately the divorce, I found myself back out there again. So, and then, but I seen like, man, I can't continue. And then my sons, I can't let them think that this is the way. So I have to change some things, because I didn't want them to go or experience some of the shit that I experienced going through my life. So I had to make that decision.
I know you. You used to populate the church,
man.
Boy.
It wasn't. You know,
female choir members.
Sometimes they needed hands laid on them, and the pastor was busy, or
what about you, Trevor?
There were two points in which caused me to have more discipline. One was I bought my first car, and I worked hard to get my first car. It was a Volkswagen, right?
The car.
And with that, hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. I ran with a realm of friends that all had Volkswagens, and in the passenger seat, there was always a dime. And if you had one that was unbecoming,
wasn't worthy of the seat,
right? It got to the point where all of us we aimed for the most attractive, the prettiest, the coolest woman. So it was like, even though you see some that weren't as fly or as cute or whatever, nah, man.
But then, so you were gauging the discipline off of the looks.
Well, what it taught me was, if you just have nothing but Premiere on the side of you, you ain't gonna have nothing but Premiere, right?
Okay.
So that was just in terms of looks. So that it became shallow. And the second point was at 23, when I had when I was cutting hair and the opportunity to get a shop or to own my own business came about, I stayed 10 toes down in terms of my work, and how it benefited. So when I finally did get my own shop, it was like, this was worth it. So and that became the standard thereafter. I'm not leaving work early to go hang out with you, especially if you're demanding. I'm not going to go to the finest restaurant because I earned this. I didn't win this. So, and I believe that anything earned is valued way more. And when you see a woman doesn't value your time, money, and your energy, and it's like, okay, since you worked all day, now I want to go to this restaurant. What made you earn that? So that also helped me, and because I had to focus on the business at such a young age. So that's what helped me.
Did you have more women because you owned the business throwing the draws at you, and you had to fight them off?
And he had a place to go.
Yeah. And he had a place to go.
You had a business.
You had a business. So you can hit him in the back of the business.
In the business. Give him the business. I get in the back of the business. Give him the business.
Right. Yeah.
No more highlights.
Right.
Give him the business.
How did you
taking a chance?
How did you? Maybe you didn't come out of that unscathed. Like no effects from it.
No, for me it did. It was like I was not going to, because I didn't tell anybody I owned the shop.
A lot of clinics.
A lot of clinics.
I didn't tell them I owned
shots.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them I owned it. I wanted to see how they treated me.
Oh, okay,
I work in the shop. I never led with that. It was always, I cut hair. Oh, I'm a barber. Oh, I work over here. And then when they discovered it for themselves,
see that
silly Mort.
That's some young men can learn from that. You ain't gotta just lay all your cards out on the table away.
Not at all.
But the car at that age, what would you say is my parent car? That was enough. You had a new Jetta. You had a brand new one off the floor.
But I had you was the rest of us.
I thought he was gonna tell me when I got the car, I was getting a lot of pussy in the back. I had to have some dick.
All our friends, man, our uniformity, our community was so cool, and everybody was stayed clean, and everybody.
I don't know what you talking about.
Man, nah, the car didn't get me.
What I was doing with the dime in my seat was not just. Hey, ladies,
showing her off. It wasn't showing her off. So how do you think? Well, Keith, we want to load that second clip up because we're recognizing like a lot of men these days they're getting their life savings squandered by not having some discipline. And I think it's more than ever when you reach that pinnacle stage in your life, especially right now. I'm not looking to go out and have any more children, and some women are looking at that as you all as a bag. So how do you really maintain the discipline to thwart that? Because I'm sure it's hard, especially for you, EP. He that international lover, so he might get.
Hey man, I remember how easy it was to have a daughter. How very easy it was, and that was enough for me. I'm telling you, that's why I have one child.
That's why you have one.
Yeah.
How did you? I mean, your slap down game, your rejection game got to be good.
Hey man,
Because I know you getting it like internationally.
hey man, I'm just saying. My daughter taught me.
Okay, so having a child taught you like the slap,
and not just my daughter, just having a child and the
responsibilities
and how your life, especially
alters.
And listen, young men, I'm gonna tell you something else. Who you have a child with is everything.
Ooh,
you have it with the wrong person, and life is almost. I could say
It'd
almost over. Yeah,
it'd be a wrap,
literally.
Man,
you know. So
that in itself is because being with the wrong woman and getting out kind of unscathed, and then and then having a child and not really having nightmare stories like some of my other friends and peers was enough to be like, okay, I escaped.
How was your rejection game? You know, was you Akeem Olajuwon in the paint? Okay.
More like Magic Johnson.
Oh, you was dishing it,
man. Showtime.
so when you were younger, but how did you develop the game of rejection where you
know what? To be honest with you, Canoe, and you may not even think that this is true, but it's real. I didn't like rejection. So, and I'm not being like, I'm not like that, but the majority of my life, dealing with women, they approach me. So I didn't have to really approach, them, or
you accept
I just accepted, or we had Gang to do it. Gang had a mouthpiece.
But how do you reject the wrong ones? I'm saying the ones that you want to. At some point, you're developing the discipline.
If you got to lie,
some of
them.
I
had to lie,
I know a couple that he had back in the day where he probably didn't say no because I was like that.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah, bro. I said, yeah,
wow, that
maybe no was not
her. Not her. That.
He just did it off.
No. It's just
did it off the strength.
No,
it was just friendly.
I was just, I mean, you couldn't. My personality was my personality, so I try to figure out a way to let them down easy, to where it wouldn't be, come off like I'm conceited or like, hey, I care about your feelings, no matter, what they look like.
Do you think that women judge you off of like how many women you probably have been with? Like, say for instance, like if a woman knows you don't have a capability of discipline, she might not. Oh no, this motherfucker got
never
hoes all over the place.
I think women assume that anyway. I think oftentimes women assume that anyway with a certain type of a guy. Because they feel like, okay, I don't I'm not the only one that could be attracted to him. One. Two, the feeling of their own issues coming out because of being rejected by a guy. And one way that they would deflect with that is saying that he's gay. Oh, if you don't want me, you must be gay. Things of that nature. So it's a fine line to kind of cross or walk. So for me, to alleviate all of that, the best bet would be to walk away with roses. Try not to let her feel rejected, but walk away with roses. Walk away and still have my friend, or walk away and we understand that we're cool.
Yeah.
So and to add to that, most women don't want somebody that nobody wants.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, that's just how like, are we doing show? I mean, doing it. Are we good? But I was gonna say, like, someone will tell you, well, I don't want to. They know you're a ladies' man, but I don't want to be another notch in your belt. But they still end up being a notch in your belt, right? Yeah.
I don't need a belt.
Yeah. So they, I don't know. Go figure. They'll say something, but they actually
as a notch. So why don't you look at it as an experience that didn't work?
Right.
Maybe you didn't try
that was absolutely.
Do you have another clip?
Imagine where God would have taken me if I had sexual discipline, if I had self-discipline. My greatest enemy has been me. I am nowhere near the orbit of what my possibility was if I had self-discipline. My greatest enemy has been me. Not my ex, not racism, not the system. It's been me. And once I have a full scope that I had become a terrorist of self-sabotage, then I had to stop being a Unabomber. Because I was blowing up my own stuff on people who I knew I didn't want to be with.
Own success. And that's without basically what he's saying, without the discipline, that's what he was causing for himself. His even though he's still somewhat successful, but imagine how much more successful he could be if he didn't have that, if he was just had a little more discipline.
I think that's very essential. When I was younger, well, especially with my first daughter, one of the things that got me was, if I can't control me, I can't lead we. So it starts with myself. If I can control myself better and have more self-discipline in many areas, I would be able to be a good leader, and I would be also able to lead by example.
Yeah.
So it has to start within. So I resonate with that.
Yeah, and we know the fiasco that he's been through, all the I mean, at some point you get tired of the people going through the, like, what's in the gossip column, you know, this person have children or a secret child over here, or I want you to be, well, I don't know if you ever would think that about me, but I want you to be like, that motherfucker's so solid and he's standing on the square so tough. That can't be him, right?
Yeah, that
people think about you as a highly disciplined individual. Something to come up that, nah, that ain't EP. EP wouldn't have did that.
Yeah, I want to live a life in such a manner that if my enemies told their friends about me, their enemies would be like, no, I'm cool with him too. So
I talked to some of them. I don't think they.
Yeah,
you one of them. What you know?
All right.
It's on the circle, right? All right. A lot of it comes too with insight, like knowing, like, she can't handle this, and not even saying in a cocky way, but I'm just saying that because if this don't work, this is gonna go bad, or also valuing the person and the relationship more than you value the action. Or this, like, I do it even to this day. Like, nah, she's way too valuable to even get into something to where I would lose the benefits of business because of this didn't work personally.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Yeah. Discipline is
and it's very hard, difficult, because, and especially in business, you don't want to cross the line. Exactly. You know, I'm sure you've dated so many singers, and
I know I won't date singers. That's
the
reason, because I know
that's a level of discipline.
Either we're gonna fall out, or you're gonna want something for free.
That's a level of discipline.
I ain't doing
Can't mess with my money.
Yeah.
So what is that saying you have? Don't something about you don't stick your whatever
company.
Stick my pen in company ink.
Yeah.
You don't stick your pen in company ink. If this has something to do with business, no, I can't write with that. I'm good. Yeah, be blessed.
Yeah.
This might not end well. This might not end well.
Yeah. Go ahead. And I like that because because when we get in personal relationships, a lot of times we may cross the line, and a lot of times when a woman is in a business relationship with you and you cross the line, she wants more value out of the business transaction than what she probably deserves.
Yeah, I definitely agree. While Keith loads up this next clip, I think that oftentimes we men, we are the main character in the theater of her mind. And unbeknownst to us, here we are, what we thought was playing the role. We thought that it was understood because I made it clear off the rip. Now they may have put you in a different position or a more important position that you thought you were in. So whenever you become the main character in the theater of her mind, that's a very gray area to be in, especially if you don't know it.
Yeah.
So we're going to load up the next clip. And as he does that, and let me know when you're ready, you guys tell me what you guys think it is.
Yeah.
When it comes to casual sexual partners, Julie Bindel, a feminist friend of mine, she likes to collect news stories about men having sex with inanimate objects because they do sometimes come up in like local news. Okay. And she has a little like informal collection of man found having sex with a pile of leaves, man found having sex with a bike, you know, like imagine it and it's happened, right? So clearly there is an extent to which men can be persuaded to basically shag anything living or dead. But men aren't like that. They're about like potential wives, right? So when it comes to choosing a long-term partner, men have very high standards and care deeply about the whole package, not just how attractive a woman is, but everything else about her. Women don't seem to have those two modes. The criteria that women look for in a casual partner and look for in a long-term partner are the same criteria. And actually often women will have sex with a casual partner in the hope that he'll become a long-term partner down the line. And I think a lot of women don't realize that men have two modes, which can cause heartbreak.
Okay, yeah, that saved it at the end.
Yeah. It
prepped because he was talking about with a bike and
leaves or whatever.
What kind of shit Trevor's into?
Men have a low bar when it comes to casual sexual partners. Julie Bindel, a feminist friend of mine, she likes
that kind of summed up a lot of reasoning as to why there's an imbalance in a sexual relationship with a young lady. You know, sometimes we can't differentiate between okay, this is what it is. No, better yet, she can't. It's harder for her. Not that she can't, but oftentimes it would be harder for a woman of a certain, with certain standards to differentiate between this is casual and it's casual for you right now, but I'm hoping that it goes further or deeper.
Do you and sort of mentioned it earlier, like not having, when I want to sleep with a woman because it will ruin the relationship that you have with the woman, right? And she may not understand that, but I think as a man and you having this discipline, that crossing the line is going to veer to some uncharted waters and you shouldn't even do it. But some people still do it and they
been a victim.
You've been a victim?
Yeah.
You went in uncharted waters?
That you shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going forward.
It's real spit, right?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
It just jumped right off.
I was definitely. So, and then you find out, but for the most part, I was able to still keep those relationships because women, women go in a little different than us.
They highly emotional.
Yeah. So
if it's hard for a man to think that like I've been sleeping with this woman unprotected and she is not going to have some emotional connection.
Right. Absolutely.
It would be wise to go ahead and
Tupac say he put my loving inside.
It would be behoove all of us men to go ahead, like to piggyback off of what you were saying, have some kind of I would call it post perspective on a sexual encounter with a woman, because oftentimes we sit here and we think this is what it is, but if you look at her from a different perspective, like, man, if we had sex, she don't look all the same to me all of a sudden. Or her attitude right now, what if I would have had sex with her last week? You know what? This little attitude that you got going on right now, I'm glad that you said that because you just canceled yourself out. So I would recommend highly to look at a person from a post-sex perspective. And this is also a part of the real spit. All of us men, really, especially as we get more refined, as we grow and acquire more to lose, we look for the 3 P's. One of them ain't pussy, but we looking for the 3 P's. We want peace, power, and progress. If a man can find that in a woman, it also increases the longevity of the relationship. We can also intensify and enhance, make better the sexual relationship. I was talking to 2 older men when I was younger, and I asked them, what did it take for them to be loyal? Why is it that you're loyal? How long have you been married? I was in the back in the garage cutting their hair, and one said, man, if it wasn't for my girlfriend, my wife wouldn't be happy. The other one said, shh, I only deal with one prostitute. And I was like, what you mean you deal with? Man, I ain't paying for no pee. He said, I agree with you. I said, you agree with me, but you say you got one main prostitute that you deal with. He said, yeah, that's the problem with you, young man. I never told you I paid for pussy. I said, but you got a prostitute. He said, I don't pay for pussy. I pay for her to leave. Because if I paid my wife to leave, you won't be cutting my hair at my mama house, and I'm too old for that shit. So fellas, before you get to the point where you feel chained down or boggled down or because you tied a knot, look at the person you're dealing with from a post-sex perspective. Till next Spin Policies Day, we appreciate you viewing in and letting us into your living room, dining room, or den. Till next Spin Policies Day. Y'all have a good day.